Blech. Now, Scream 3 is almost again also breathing rarefied air in that it's a special type of horror threequel for a few reasons. One, it actually works as that final conclusion that just works so well that we were talking about in non-horror trilogies. It ends on such a wonderful note. Nothing makes me happier than the ending of Scream 3. That's number one. Number two, it really does complete a final, in general, even in horror, you do think of things in trilogies. You can, I mean, there's tropes, trilogy tropes as they talk about in Scream. So, this is a movie that sort of embodies all of that. Scream 3. A lot of people hate Scream 3. I have never hated Scream 3.
You're the person in my life that loves Scream 3.
I'm a fierce
you're like that guy.
Defender of Scream 3 for a very simple reason, in that Sidney has a very clear arc. The movies don't revolve around Ghostface. They revolve around Sidney. It's Sidney's story. It's a final girl story, and it concludes perfectly, concisely. The character arc completes at the end of Scream 3. She leaves her gate wide open. She's open to the world. She doesn't need to hide anymore. Like all these things, all these symbolic things. It's perfect, man. And yes, it gets a little clunky. Yes, it gets a little Scooby-Dooey, but like, who gives a shit, man? It's a great friggin'
I really want to say,
man.
I don't hate Scream 3. It wouldn't be on my list. I don't love it to the degree you do, but I am not one of the haters of Scream 3. I'm quite fine with it.
I just think it's the
also it merges two movie universes, so
it sure does. It sure does.
So yeah,
it sure does. That's Jay and Silent Bob. And here's the other thing too. This is what really what
a weird thing, right? It's still to this day I can't believe that happened. It's the absolute weirdest thing.
It's bizarre. One last thing before we move on. What makes Scream 3 such a unique threequel is that it deviates from the formula in a way that nobody is thinking of. It's also a ghost story, and it's also an exorcism story. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Her mother's ghost haunts her, and she needs to put her mother's unfinished business to rest before her mother's spirit can be free. And it's beautiful, man. I mean, it's great. It's super interesting. Nobody ever chimes in on this,
I think, Jeff, listening to you, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I feel like you talking about Scream 3 reminds me of myself talking about Star Trek 5.
Holy shit.
Because I'm a fierce defender of the character arcs.
The odd numbers.
Well, the one that everybody hates. Like, yeah, I'm a fierce defender of the character arcs and the character moments in that movie that everybody dislikes. And I feel like you're doing the same thing with Scream 3.
I maybe so, but it's just, people.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, people they just beat the crap out of Scream 3. I'm like, do you not see that this is like, that they are wrapping up a ghost story that begins before Scream 1. B, it's like it really is these three films are perfectly self-encapsulated. We go back to the unfinished business of the mother, which wraps up the trilogy. It's perfect, man.
I know we made a joke about it, but I think honestly, if Jay and Silent Bob didn't happen in that movie, like, I feel like that moment literally makes people hate it, because if there was any doubt in their mind, it gets to that moment and they're like, oh, Wes didn't care.
Right.
A cynic can't get through that part and take the movie seriously.
I think it's the Scooby-Doo tone that nobody can get over.
Right.
And but I just kind of go like, the whole fucking series is Scooby-Doo. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's very self-aware. So, yeah.
The Dewey is straight out of a Scooby-Doo movie 1,000 times over in all three movies. You know what I'm saying? And
honestly, in a better world, I would love to see Jay and Silent Bob like having a type of Scream mystery they have to solve.
Sure. That would be fucking
That'd be
great.
Incredible. Like,
Kevin Smith, that's the movie we want to see from you.
That's kind of what you should be doing, Kevin Smith.
Well, he was going to do the Jaws version of that,
Yeah,
with
right.
Jay and Silent Bob with moose jaws. But that's a story
for a different time.
Talk about threequels that need to come to fruition. But
he should have just made 3 Tusk movies, and it's a different animal every time.
Yeah,
with the through line of the same, characters.
You'd have a walrus. There should have been a moose for sure instead of moose jaws. Just have a moose, and then maybe an elephant just to make things really spicy.
Whatever tickles his fancy.
Yeah. What about a whooping crane would be interesting choice.